Hi.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Well, it's gorgeously sunny here in Vancouver. How about you?
Hey, yeah, same here, which is nice.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's still some frost on the ground though in the morning, but
Really?
also because it's with the time change, you know, the frost has a heartbeat apparently. The frost thinks it's almost what is it? Almost 8 o'clock instead of almost 9 o'clock. So right? So so it's still kind of frosty in the morning, but otherwise that'll change.
It's
But
so funny because me and Sid were walking across the bridge yesterday, and we were looking at the crows because they tend to fly towards Burnaby at
yeah,
around 6 o'clock, right? And so we're waiting, we're looking. There's like 200 crows across like that area of the Olympia Village and Falls Creek seawall, and he's like, "Yeah, they don't fucking care. Like they don't know what daylight savings is because they're still there."
exactly. That's very interesting. I totally remember that about Vancouver. Like why did the crows fly to Burnaby at a certain time? Why? Like sunset kind of thing.
It's like it's part of their menstrual cycle or something. I don't know, but it's daily.
It is daily, exactly. I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense, but
Well, everyone has a daily cycle at some point.
sure. Yeah, my coffee, so maybe that
Exactly, right? I know I've got a mean like overnight again. I've no like last week I had like an overnight steeped chai, and I have another overnight steeped chai.
Oh Lord.
And I was gonna pour it into my Guinea Juicy mug, but I actually ended up putting it in this mug. And if I pour it here, my motor skills are not strong enough, so I'm gonna make a mess out of everything. So I'm just gonna drink. I'm gonna drink. I'm just gonna double fist.
That's okay. Double fist that chai. Just do it. Do it. Don't
Oh,
overnighter.
oh, thank God, that's not the same kind of double fisting that I'm thinking about.
Oh, exactly. That overnighter.
Yikes. Oh, overnighter, more like over monther.
Oh, oh, Jesus. Conversations before people pop on, which
I know, but you know what though? Our guest that's coming on though, I can tell would not bat an eyelash, and all of our guests hopefully wouldn't bat an eyelash when they think you're getting juicy. They got to realize what they're getting themselves into, and in the best way possible.
it's true. It's true. Yeah. And speaking of which, so yeah, Zoe Abbott is coming on the show this morning or this
Yes,
afternoon or whenever you're watching this.
yes, yes,
this.
yes.
She comes from Florida, so she's 3 hours ahead of us here. And she is a financial professional as an entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to call her like a financial planner because I mean, that's a very vague, I think, blanketed terminology. I want to, get her thoughts on what she does because she does so much more than that.
Oh yeah.
She, basically her big thing is to turn finances into something that isn't scary and depressing and into something that can be happy and exciting,
Hmm.
right? So it almost sounds to me like she's really good at almost like a financial therapist.
Yeah, it seems like that. I mean, when we looked at her, when I crapped her website and her accolades, she definitely like her whole thing. It's like I want to take the intimidation and the anxiety out of people managing their money and have it be something that they control instead of it controlling them.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. And she sings. She's
Yeah,
a
she
beautiful singer.
and a total fashionista and totally
Oh,
knows
I
her
feel
sense of
like
style.
keep looking at myself in the video and I'm like, oh God, gotta get
Right?
better in this place
Totally.
soon,
Exactly.
soon.
Exactly. I should have cut my hair even shorter. Like, oh dear God, I should have just pulled a Britney and shaved my head.
We're both wearing such blah colors.
I
Blah
know.
colors.
I know because all my cozy sweaters that I have currently in my closet are all like neutral colors.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm doing the same thing. Ugh, hope she's got some color.
Oh, I hope she does too. Yeah, the clothes look so drab.
I know. What the hell? Except for my tiger in the back. So we'll just
Oh,
kind
I
of.
love that. I know, and then my llamas. See my llamas in the back here?
I do.
They're so cute.
We're
Look
so
at
funny.
them.
So Hero has a thing for like you like your stuffies,
I like stuffies. Yeah,
and they are really cute, and they're like tie dye.
yeah, they're tie dye.
Tie-dye's so in right now,
It
again.
is. It is. And these are like 2 or 3 years old.
Okay, if you're not watching this, Hiro's doing some things with his llamas. All right.
And they squeak.
Oh my. I thought that you were squeaking. What the?
They're dog toys.
You said, especially with that laugh. Not gonna lie, that sounded a bit cuckoo. Man, we don't like to use the word crazy on this podcast. I don't. I hate that word. I hate it. It has such
Eccentric.
like eccentric, maybe cuckoo, but no, not crazy is like
No. No,
me.
crazy. It's not so crazy.
No,
It's
but
normal. What is normal?
for you, yeah,
Exactly. It's my norm of normal.
exactly.
Good. Well, now we got like another like whatever, like 30 seconds of Instagram and TikTok content for you. So that's great.
I'm glad. I am glad about that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, I'm super. So Zoe actually, did she reach out to you?
She raised, well, okay, so Zoe started liking or started following my personal account.
Hmm.
And I immediately was running, wow, like someone actually is interested in me. Why would someone be interested in this queen? And so then I looked at her page and I was surprised to see her following and then what she does. And then I
Hmm.
just, the moment I messaged her right away when she followed me, I said, hey, like, thank you for following. And how did I pop up in your network? And I think she was just looking for new people to follow. Whether it was like a suggestion to follow or if she might have used a certain hashtag. I'm not sure really what it was, but there was something that came up on her end, and I popped up. So we can ask her that because I don't know the full background of why or how. But when I messaged her right away, she said, "Hey, like I said to her, hey, like we have a podcast. Do you have any interest in being a part of it? You seem like you'd be a really great person to chat with." And she said immediately, she said yes.
Yeah. And I love describing or talking about the story was about how we meet our guests because they're so varied
Hmm.
and it's a wide variety of either people we knew, people that contacted us,
Yeah.
like, or people that, we didn't know, but like we had no idea that they would actually say yes, like Jeannie Becker, like
Yes.
people that were just like, oh, okay, awesome.
Yes.
And I'll just throw the cat out of the bag here to get people excited. But we also have Chef Christina from Hell's Kitchen fame, and well, from her own fame of just being like the most amazing chef. And Gordon
Yes.
Ramsay's one of his right hand women on his team who's coming on our show. So, and she said yes. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
you just really don't know, and it's pretty
Yeah.
exciting for us. So
It's pretty exciting for sure.
yeah, I thought you were going to say something.
Well, I was, but I thought you were in the middle of saying something, so I didn't
Nope.
want to. No, okay.
Oh, you're so sweet. I interrupt you all the time.
No,
So,
it's so true. You do, but I love it when you do.
oh, I do. I get
I
too.
mean, I talk way too much. I could shut the hell up a little bit, but you know what? Fuck that. That's overrated. So, but when it comes to again the people we've had on our platform, it's so cool, as you said, because some of them are close friends of ours that have been with us in our own journeys and that have become more established than they were when we first met them, or the people that we don't even know, and people that might not even have a following, but the dialogue and the content they provide us is exactly what is worthy of wanting us to share with them and them to share with us. You
Mhm.
can't define a guest on a show by their followership or by their how their reach, because you never know how many people are reaching from us, and they might prevent themselves from causing harm to themselves, for example, if they hear someone's story that never has a chance to share it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, no, absolutely. And those are some of the reasons why we definitely do this. With that being said, I mean, even I said to Hero yesterday, I'm like, what? How the fuck do you get more followers? How the hell do you do this? And I do, not that I do that for a living, but I actually do like PPC management, like pay-per-click advertising, online advertising for
Mm,
businesses.
mm,
But I mean, I don't necessarily like try to get people Instagram followers or social followers, but it's a hard gig, man. Like it's
yeah.
changing every day. And I mean, the only reason why I'm so adamant about it is just to get more people listening.
Yeah.
I just want our guests to have more
Hmm.
exposure. So
Yeah.
that's it, you know. So
Well, especially when you said pay per click, because I thought you said paperclip, and I'm like, use paper clips to gain
for that,
followers?
I went like
No.
this. My computer just made like a fart noise. It wasn't because of you. I was like, whoa, what is that?
That's so funny.
It's someone's birthday tomorrow. Okay.
That's so funny.
And I did not
Yo,
paperclip.
see, right? It sounds when you say it when you say it without separating the, it's like pay per view. It's like if you don't say it without spaciousness in between the syllables, it sounds like its own word.
It does. Paperclip. Paper. Oh my God, that is so
See?
per click and pay per clip. Wow, too close.
Yeah, so close. Pay per click. Pay. Yeah.
Paper.
Have
I'm
you?
I'm gonna tell everybody I'm a paperclip manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Paperclip. What do you like a barrel of bunkies? Like, do you manage
Yeah.
intertwine? Do you maybe I manage the fact that you know when you open a box of paper clips and they're all like
Tangled.
tangled? I manage that.
Yeah, exactly. You
They're not.
manage that. And then you have a scissor company called Unstaple, which is like all the staples that are like clipped together or like bent out of shape, and then you make sure that they're stapled correctly.
Absolutely. That's just what I do.
Oh my
I'm
God. You are a stationery organizer, a stationery reorganizer.
I'm a stationary queen.
Oh my God. And I guarantee you there would be a business for that.
Oh my God. I'm getting them all mixed up. I'm a paperclip queen. That's what I am.
I love that.
And if you want to know what a paperclip, no shit. Here is look it up.
Oh my God.
Oh fuck.
Oh,
Oh,
that's so good.
people.
Oh my God.
Why does an hour make such a difference? I mean,
It
our
makes such a difference, man.
and I try to ignore it in a way. Like I try to just power through it, be like, no, like not ignore it. I do the time change, but obviously I just go about my life the way it would normally. But my body feels it. I was tired. Like it was so hard to get out of bed this morning.
Oh yeah, seriously for me too. And you know, like yesterday I was just awake. It was 1 a.m. I'm like, I gotta get up for getting juicy in the morning. And I just was looking at Sid. And for those that don't know yet, Sid's my boyfriend of almost 2 months. Woohoo! And I was like, Jesus, like I gotta go to sleep. And luckily I was able to fall asleep when we looked at each other and thought, I'm not tired. So I know, but we gotta be adults. We gotta adult.
Who
And so
said that?
no, I said that. I said I know, but we gotta adult. And he's like he's 40. He's like, yeah, you're right. We got to go to sleep.
Funny thing about adulting, that you just triggered a memory from yesterday. It was only
Yeah.
yesterday, but just when because I was texting Hero and I was like, after being at the computer like for 5-6 hours working, and then I went outside and I was raking leaves, and I was
Oh
like,
my God.
oh, welcoming with it because you spend all day in front of the computer, with some of you might be doing, and then you go outside and you're like, oh my God, there's a world out here, and I don't mind doing this little bit of physical labor. It's quite nice. But as I was raking leaves at the front of the house, and I'm getting, I don't even want to say the word 40 or the number, but I'm getting up there. I'm not quite 40 yet, everyone. But I was thinking to myself, I feel like I'm playing house.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's part of me that still has such yeah, I mean, everyone talks about feeling young, even though they're like 80 or 90. But I guess just because it is my husband and my very first house we've ever owned, right? I still have these moments where like, whoa, this is my house. And I was
Yeah.
picking leaves and I was kind of feeling like kind of playful about it. Like, I'm doing this on my own property? Like, I kind of feel like I'm just playing house as I would when I was, in grade 3 or something like that.
Right. Yeah. There's that sense of ownership. There's that sense of, yeah, I'm making a difference and this is all mine.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny feeling, and anyway.
Right.
And
And it was just so funny when you sent me that. So Rachel was texting me like on wildfire, like in true hero style, yesterday evening, which is
it's true.
awesome. And I was like, oh my God, this is nice for once. Role reversal. And so she sends you these photos. Oh, there comes our guest.
George.
Oh
Hey,
my God.
hey.
Hi, Zoe.
Hello. Do
How's
you want
it
me to turn my
going?
video on?
Yes, please.
If you're
Okay.
but it's going to be showing.
Oh
Oh,
my God. Hi. How's it going?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you on the route somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I could be in a better location in like 10 or 15 minutes, but I just don't know. I should have asked if I was going to be
No,
on video.
that's great. No, that's great. No, this is how we go. We go raw, candid, and just as authentic and unscripted as possible. This is perfect.
Okay, good.
it's only
Awesome.
it's only if you're okay with it because knowing
I'm okay. I'm okay. It's totally cool.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are record. So I cannot speak today. Do you guys have the time change too? Because I feel like my brain.
It's like 1 hour different for
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Who'd have thought an hour, like literally like 43 minutes of a reality TV show, and boom, you're a completely different person.
It's bizarre, but it's
Yeah.
nice to see you. So you're in Florida, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
gorgeous.
how is it? How is it down there? You're quite far away from us in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I could be any further away in North America almost, right?
No
It's
kidding.
true. It's true.
Yeah. It's very warm.
Yep.
Mhm.
I bet it is. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Well, we're
Yeah.
starting. We don't live in igloos. I don't know if you've been to
Okay.
Canada, but we don't.
I actually have. I've been to Vancouver too. Because I used to live in Oregon State, and one time my
Wow.
school went up as like a field trip, so I went to Vancouver, BC for like a little bit, like a week or something.
No way. So there's a segue because Rachel was like, "How did you meet Zoe? Like, how did you connect to Zoe?" And so
Mhm.
I think if I remember, either you followed me or you liked a photo of mine or something like that. And then I think I reached out to you, said, "Hey, like, how did he hear of it?" And I think that was it, right? Was it as simple as that?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really funny thing how we all connect, in some way.
Which is amazing. Because I wonder
Yeah.
if because when you said you've been to Vancouver, I wondered if there was maybe a connection to that. Maybe something in the algorithms came up. I was like, oh, like I have memories of Vancouver. Who's in Vancouver?
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's ridiculous.
Who knows how Instagram works anymore? It changes on a daily basis. All that kind of stuff does. It's insane. Yeah. So we did do a little intro to you, Zoe, and I didn't want to say that I didn't say that you were a financial planner, but I'm like, that is too much of a blanket
Yeah.
statement. And so what I said, you're almost like, to me, it sounds like you're almost like a financial therapist, really.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, I try to stay away from financial advisor and planner and stuff because, to be honest, those terms are connected to very specific licenses. I do hold licenses, but those particular licenses I do not have
Right.
intentionally, because when you get certain types of licenses in finance, they restrict what you can say and do. It's very weird.
Really?
So, yeah, it's super weird. And so I can help more people, even though my knowledge is of that level, I can help more people not having those licensure. It's really strange.
Wow.
So, like, I stay away from advisor and planner. I'll say consultant, success consultant, entrepreneur, queen, whatever I can say that communicates.
yeah.
And then obviously, like, the thing that has helped me be successful and really, really grow is just being the full person that I am. And there's, and I share a lot of stuff about myself, and then people connect with that because there's like a billion people out there that sell the type of things that I do or do the type of things that I do. But what makes you uniquely you is going to be like everything else,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's what was so attractive about you to us as well, is because, on the podcast, we're all about, okay, yeah, we know what people like on the surface, but, and we know that they're put on pedestals in their industries and things like that. But, what really makes them who they are? Why did they get into those industries, and kind of pulling the mask off that? And it sounds like you kind of already do that, which I think I know is probably what attracts people to you. I mean, that's absolutely like what we, not to use the word should, but I will use it. We should be doing that these days.
Yeah.
So I really commend you for that. And you are a stunning singer. So
oh, thank you.
to some of your stuff, I was blown away. I'm like, what is this girl what does she not do? Like,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
singing for.
Well, okay, so here's the story. My mom was an off-Broadway actress, like she was a musical theater actress, and she's very talented, and she's always been a performing arts director. And I wasn't really close with her though growing up. Like I was raised by my dad, a single dad.
Wow.
But I used to take her because she left her cassette tapes when they broke up, right? And I would listen and I would sing. So I was pretty much self-taught. And then when I was in school, I got into choir and different stuff like that. And I would perform probably from the age of like 10 to 14. And then I got involved with some like performance groups. And I was actually like performing in restaurants and things like that when I was like 13, 14.
Wow.
Then I stopped doing it. And a huge thing for me, and this was really, I always wanted to be a singer. And I think I kind of knew from the age of like 2 years old that I wanted to do that. But I battled with weight and self-esteem my entire life. And I started getting chubby around 6, 7, 8 years old. And then I got pretty big, like from 9 years old and further than that. And I was like already pushing probably like 200 pounds by the time I was like 14 or something.
Wow.
And so to be honest, like I looked at like pop stars, like, and how beautiful they were and people like that. And like people that I'd want to emulate. And I was just like, I'll never be able to do it. So I kind of threw my dreams away on that. And then I decided what's the one thing we all have in common? Like the one purpose we all have in common is like, we want to help another person. So then I decided that I was going to go into counseling. So I started, I left home at 14. Very interesting, but I did.
Wow.
You know, I joined my church and I got trained as a pastoral counselor. And then I did that for like 11 years. Yeah. And I met my ex-husband at the time when I was 17 and we got married and we were together for like good 15, 16 years actually, but about 7 years in, so I was like 25, I got pregnant. And so then we had to kind of switch our gears because we were in complete nonprofit. Like we were fully taken care of. It was some of the best years of my life, honestly, because I was just in just pure help. I felt really good about what I did on a daily basis. I really helped a lot of people. I probably put like 20,000 hours in the chair of counseling. So I sat down with hundreds of different people and from all over the world and all ages and men and women and children through older, you know, and it was such a great experience to be able to help that many people, connect with that many people and understand people. Yeah. And, you know, during that time, I would say, you know, I also, you know, growing up, I actually went through 3 bankruptcies with my dad, 3 bankruptcies. So finance was already something like we had extreme highs and lows in. And then when I did counseling, the 2 main areas that people brought up all the time was sex, relationships, and family problems, right?
Yeah.
And money and finance. Right. And so it was very, very real to me that this was something now that I had to figure out how to make money to support my daughter and take care of myself and all of that. I decided that I was going to get into the financial industry somehow. Wow. And I found my way kind of researching it a bit. What could I do? I never went to college. You know, I was really ahead in school. I went to a private school that allowed me to go at my own pace. So I actually got my high school diploma when I was like 15. And that was when my education stopped. I was a really smart kid and I've always been really fast to pick up things. And I can, you know, I learned very well, but I wasn't like, I didn't have a degree, college degree or something. So I had to find something that had an unlimited potential. I could work for myself. I could, you know, be my own boss, make my own schedule. And so that's how I got into finance. And I feel like my experience and my skill set has really helped me, you know, do really well in this because it really is a relationship business, you know, and understanding human nature and helping people because you can make the most amazing plans, but if the person's not going to follow it, they're not going to have success. Right. So I know I went off a little bit, but so back to the singing thing. So a couple years, like 2 years ago, I was at my lowest, like mentally and physically about my body. And I was pushing 320 pounds or something. And I my dad had just passed away of a stroke in his 50s, mid his third bankruptcy, by the way. And I was just kind of gutted. And I was just like, he never had weight problems, by the way. His thing had nothing to do with that, but it became really real to me, my health, right? Mm-hmm. And also I had a couple of like really, really horrible, traumatizing type incidents. Like I was traveling more and I could never close the seatbelt on the airplane. And I was just mortified every time. And I wouldn't say anything because I was so embarrassed. So I'd sit there like hiding that I didn't have my seatbelt on like all the time. And then there were like a couple times when I went to an amusement park. I didn't go very often, but I like went once or twice in a couple of years. I couldn't fit on the ride. Like I had to I wait in the line, get to the front. I had two guys trying to like push me in, like force me, like they were smashing the thing down and they couldn't fit me. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And there's all these people around and I had to get up and leave. And I was like literally so mortified. These were just horrible experiences. And then despite this, which is really interesting, as introverted and has low self-esteem as I was, I still had this ability to project confidence and push through. And I was always a really hard worker and really dedicated and really productive. And so I was still doing decently in business. I was still a multiple six-figure earner in what I was doing, even though I was sitting here battling demons. But I had to get up on stage and talk in front of people. And I was just like, literally, it was so difficult because I felt horrible about the way I looked, everything. Oh. And I don't know, it was this culmination of all these things. And I'm totally honest with people too. You think that all this would be enough. You think that my health being threatened and all that would be enough, but it wasn't, because I knew that one of the biggest things for me, I was still like in my 20s or 30. I was still 30, I hadn't really developed. I was like borderline diabetic, blood sugar, blah, 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 borderline thyroid, like all this stuff, but I wasn't like fully diabetic. I wasn't fully suffering that much. I mean, I was in chronic physical pain. I didn't even realize it because I was carrying this around all the time, but I was managing. Mm-hmm. And the last thing that was holding me, and I'm honest about it, was a vanity point. It was, if I lose, because I see what people look like after they've lost like 150 pounds, 200 pounds or something. If I lost that much weight and I looked at myself in the mirror and I look like a deflated balloon, I hate myself even more. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't stand looking at myself. So that last little point was holding me up. And then the craziest thing happened. And it was like maybe almost a year and a half, 2 years ago. I never been on Instagram before, which is so weird. I was always a Facebook person. I don't know. It was weird. I went on Instagram and I saw this girl and I really connected with her. And she was like, in her late 20s, so we were around the same age. She was 380 pounds. She was a lot taller than me. So we were about probably the same range. She lost 200 pounds, and then at the end, she got all the skin removal surgery, every single surgery under the sun, moon, and stars. And she looks amazing. Like literally, like I was absolutely shocked because I didn't even think it was possible for some reason. And I was just like, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. So this is like legitimately, I was positively influenced and had a great reaction to someone on Instagram. I actually didn't get started on Instagram until like 6 months later myself. So I've been on Instagram for like a year and a half or something crazy. Like that's all I've been. It's so funny, right? What? Is that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just like browsing. I don't know, because someone had mentioned it and I was like, I don't get Instagram. Like I understood Facebook, but I don't get Instagram at all. Like there's just photos. People are just posting photos. Like it was so funny. Now I'm like totally comfortable with Instagram, right? But anyway, so I followed her journey and I pretty closely. I mean, I did things my own way. I'm actually in the middle of writing a book, but I lost 160-ish pounds. Wow. And about 150 pounds in, I went and I'm not fully done. Like I'm 5'2" and I weigh like 165 pounds. So I'm still technically overweight. I'm very, very strong because I work out a lot. And so I look a lot better usually than like someone who's holding 165 pounds on a small frame. Right. But when I lost all that weight, I went and I got skin removal surgery. I'm not fully done. Like I'm like 90. I feel personally. And the thing is too, like some people are like, they're proud of their stretch marks in their skin or whatever, because it does represent like their battle or whatever. And I think that's great. And it's just like, what car would you like to drive? You know what I mean? Like, some people are totally happy driving, like, you know, whatever, this car. And some people want a big, like, really souped up, whatever. And so for me, though, for me to feel like I was happy about the way I looked, I did that. And I did it for me, not anybody else, you know, not anybody else. But oh my gosh, like, I literally, when I got that, I literally cried looking at myself. I was like, I never thought that I would look like this. And again, like, I think it's really hard. I think even the most beautiful, like, perfect, beautiful Insta girls or whatever, they all have their insecurities. They look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, I wish this was different, whatever, some more than others. But feeling like I'm 90% there is like, it's amazing. It's like, I just never thought I'd ever be at that place, you know? So I'm really, really happy and proud of myself for what I've done. And then basically after I lost that weight about a year ago, I was still on my journey. Okay. I was probably 50 pounds heavier, but I had still lost 100 pounds. That's when I felt like I had enough confidence that I could sing again. Yeah. Okay. In front of people. And then I released Rise Up. Okay. I released Rise Up when, I'm sorry, someone just, I released Rise Up cover about a year ago now. It's almost a year ago. Yeah. And you know, I'm like 200-ish pounds, but whatever. I'm not 320 anymore. And I think the timing of it was really great because, like, you know, the lockdowns had just happened. You know, we released that video on Facebook and it had over 1 million views. And it was amazing because I had all these, like, people connecting with me and they were like, you made me feel something. I cried. I love this. You changed my life. And I actually got some really great connections and followers that are really, really tight with me even now, a year later, and follow me and interact with me. And I was just like, wow, it reminded me why I love it. You know, I love connecting with people in a positive way and helping them. And I love making them feel something, positive things, you know what I mean? And it's literally the best thing in the world. It's addicting to help, like, in that way. So then I was like, okay, I've created a great business. I live to work for the most part. Let me just keep kind of doing this. And so, you know, some months later, I released another cover, and that was a cover of Maren Morris, The Bones. And then that hit like 1.3 million on Facebook. Jeez. And then on the end of January, I released a cover that I did with a good friend of mine. We did A Whole New World, and that one hit over 2 million views on Facebook. And then just like literally on Sunday, I released a cover of Tennessee whiskey. So I'm excited. It's already rolling. And I've really shown people, like, my range. Like, I sing everything from, like, I would say pop, R&B, soul would be like my sweet spot, but I love a lot of things, a lot of genres and stuff like that. And I think probably I will continue to figure out, like, maybe doing some original stuff. I don't know. Like, it's really just started as a passion, but I'm starting to notice that I could really do it, you know? And
yes, it's responding.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, looking back at the videos to see also my physical progress, because I look different in every video, right? Like, I'm much heavier in the Rise Up, and then the Bones, and then the last one, and then this one. It's absolutely crazy to see my transformation in just a year. It's unbelievable. And then obviously I've posted, like, some before and afters. I even had a 10-month before and after, like, on my artist account, because I have 2 Instagrams, the Zoe Abbott and Zoe Abbott Artist. Right. Totally crazy. Like, I look back and I'm like, I can't. Because here's the thing, when you're doing something like this, it's like dieting or even trying to be rich or wealthy. You want it yesterday. You want it overnight. There is an instant gratification almost about anything, honestly. Anything, business success, whatever. But it literally takes long-term, disciplined, consistent effort over a long period of time. And sometimes it feels like the longest road and the biggest struggle. But then you can look back a year later and you're like, holy smokes, like, look at how much I got done. So it's crazy.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing all that. Like, I have no words. I was my mouth. I don't know if you saw my facial expressions. I was like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it is, people I think don't realize too, they look at someone who's very successful like yourself, and they're just, and especially because you said you've only been on Instagram for not that longer, like, oh, she seems like an instant overnight success,
Yeah.
right? And then after you're telling me all the backstory, it's like, no, like this girl worked fucking hard. Like she is in a place in her life, and most, I would say 90 something % of the people that are super successful in that respect have worked bloody hard to get where they are, but you don't see that all the time. And that's kind of what we want to bring to light. So I really appreciate you sharing all that. One question I had as you were talking, I'm curious to know, and it seems like this is probably the case because you just seem so elated and happy, and like, which is just beautiful to see. Once you kind of, I know you haven't completely hit your goal, but once you kind of have been on that road, did you notice, okay, the physical was changing, but did your mental space change? Because you were just, okay.
Absolutely. Okay. So like this is what I wanted. This is kind of what I'm going to talk about in my book too, is like literally in a year, I halved myself and I doubled my income. Literally. And I was already a multiple 6-figure earner, right? It was like all, like so many things that were holding me back. You know, it's like, I was still managing to have success in my life and push through, but it was like so much more effort, and so like fighting through confidence issues and self-esteem and all of this stuff. Right. And, the whole reason, besides my health and whatever, what for me handling this was I wanted to feel more like a spirit and less like my attention was constantly stuck in my body. Because the thing is like when you're really overweight and you're not feeling good about yourself, either because you're physically feeling bad all the time or your attention is constantly on, like I would sit down and be aware of my roles, that I'm like my fat, and, you know, it's just like so like, it's so ridiculous because we are all spiritual beings, and it's like we should be able to feel like that's what we really are, not our bodies. And when your body, whatever the condition of it is, and when it's sick or it's unwell or it's big or too small, I mean, that's not as common, I think, as an issue, but like people do have that too, like where they're really, really skinny and they're trying to gain weight, you know, whatever it is, it just makes you feel like it pushes you down, and it makes you feel invalidated, like not yourself, and, you know, not your true power. And I think that was my goal, really, so that I could feel really me, you know, and not, because I never felt like my body was a representation of who I really was, you know, like I always was, I would joke, I'm like, I'm a skinny bitch in a fat bitch's body, you know, like I would have these like dreams that I'd find the zipper to my fat suit and come out of it. Cause I just really, I wasn't like, and that's the thing too. And I feel like other people that are really overweight can relate to me. There's so much fat shaming. I mean, I feel like things are shifting a little bit. Definitely like, you know, thick is in, thank gosh, because I'm kind of thick, you know, like, you know, like there's more body positivity than there has been. But if you look at it, it's like the amount, like the things that people would say, or like even just like the intention or the flow that they give you is like, oh wow, like, you know, you must be really lazy or undisciplined, or like, and I was like, I'm not lazy and undisciplined as a person. I might binge eat a little bit. I might definitely have some bad eating habits, et cetera, et cetera. And I could be better in this area. But as a person, I am a very, very productive, disciplined. I built a $1 million business, you know, like I'm killing it, you know, and it's like, why am I 320 pounds? Like like it was just like this. And you know, the thing is too, is that each area of your life, if you don't handle it, it'll start bringing the other ones down eventually. Sometimes there's an ability to compartmentalize for a little bit. Like people can have one area of their life that's really crappy and it's not totally seeping, but eventually it will. Eventually it will if you don't handle it. And I was just like, that's what was starting to happen. It was, you know, everything was kind of starting. And so I was like, I got to stop that from happening. And so when I started improving that, every area of my life expanded, you know, everything got better. You know, I think that I I became a better mom, because I had more energy and had more attention for my kid and would take her out more. I couldn't even, like, it was just mortifying to try to take her to the beach or something. Like, I'd be like fully clothed in a burqa or something. It was just not good, So, I mean, like, there's so many things, I could talk about, but yeah, it's not just about, being aesthetic or looking good, it's everything else too that has really changed. I don't think I would have had the confidence to sing.
No, and I'll let Hero ask a question, but I was gonna say, like, our platform is also, we talk a lot about mental health because we both have and still do suffer with, with myself, it's generalized anxiety disorder with some depression and health anxiety, OCD, like all those fun things. And Heroes, we all kind of have our own things, but
Yeah, well, one thing I'm really curious about is, again, I echo Rachel and what she said, and thank you for being so courageous and willing to share so openly, because that's what we foster on our show. And what I'm curious about is that, in addition to everything you've shared about your story so far and what you've verbally said in this thread of conscious thinking and feeling, what has it been like to translate your life experiences into being a mother and bringing your daughter into the world, and how has that affected your life in a full spectrum, like emotionally, mentally, physically, and how you show up in the world, I suppose? And have you noticed you can bring those past experiences that you've had to learn and experience through hardship and bring that into your child's life, and give that tool to them as a support to become, a really strong, independent individual?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like we all learn lessons from our parents. We learn all the things not that we don't want to do and all the things that we do want to do. And I find that either there's usually a combination. It's like you don't want to do anything that your parents did at all, or maybe there's some things, or you're going to find there's certain things that they really did really well and you want to emulate that. I feel children are blank slates. They're literally, you can write on them almost. And the way that we get educated is literally through our experience. Like, people don't realize that your kid is like a sponge and they're watching everything that you do. And I think that watch my daughter watching me, doing everything that I've done, accomplish what I've accomplished, how hard I work, business, everything like that is education for her. Not to mention the things that I teach her, the basic things that we as parents are telling our kids constantly, or even habits and routines that we're getting them to do. But I really do think my kid is very advanced and positively influenced a lot, like, I'll tell you one story, right? And I didn't even realize that my kid was like soaking up things that I would tell her so much. And she was really really becoming, like, she was really evolving with me. But, when I broke up with my husband, and by the way, we're on great terms. He's awesome dad, great friends, she was sad, which obviously would happen. I mean, the biggest concern in something like that, I think, for a couple is how it affects the kids or the kid, And I remember having a conversation with her. She was really sad and she cried when we told her. And then she came back to me 30 minutes later and she was like, you know what, Mom, you tell me that the one thing that a spirit can do, right? A spirit can do is they can decide. That's the strongest, power that we have as people, is that we can decide anything. She's 7 years old. Okay.
Wow.
But I say this all the time. Like, I repeat this to everybody because it's true. The truth is, the strongest ability and power that any of us have as individuals, our power of choice, and our ability to decide or change our minds about anything, or decide, because you can be going in one direction and turn it around immediately and go in another direction. If you're going in a bad path, you can decide and change your mind. Yeah. And she was like, we can decide that this is a good thing.
Wow.
And then she started talking about the fact that she's going to have 2 bedrooms now, and that we're going to do more like fun things together, because we're just going to make sure that we're going to offset the fact that this is happening, like, with better things. And I was like, okay, I really feel like if I ever feel like I have failures as a mom, like, and there's like no such thing as a perfect parent, and there's no such thing as normal. We're all different. And someone could judge me and say, well, she works a lot, she's not really like this great stay-at-home mom or something like that. But you know what? I'm raising a really decent human being and a kid, and I'm doing the best I can. And I feel pretty good about where she's at and who she is as a person and how she's doing. I may not be with her every single day, unfortunately, because we split time and all that, but I'm not doing things to make her worse. I'm not beating her. I'm not, like there's so many things that I can look at. But when she said that to me, I was like, okay, I can pat myself on the back, because that was like a really proud mom moment, and the thing is like, I don't just tell her that, like I tell that to people a lot, and also it's like people will say, okay, well, that's easier said than done, because there's so many things that are in the way of you being able to make a decision or change your mind about something. But if you decide that is actually pretty simple, and really it doesn't have to be this big complicated thing. I really feel like that realization, or that really, really embracing that as a datum, will change your life. It will literally change your life. Because if you realize the truth is that you have power of choice and decision over everything else, then you realize that you are not a victim and you are not the effect of anything, and that you can choose and decide anything or change your life in any way. And I think that's so, so important, because a lot of people will, get into emotion and they will be victims to something that's happened, because we've all had bad stuff happen to us. We've all been on the receiving end and the giving end of horrible things, probably. And and I think that that's really been something, and like showing, actually accomplishing the things that I've accomplished in the last couple of years has really made me see even more than before how strong and how true what I'm saying is, because I've done it. I decided, I changed. Most people, when they've hit over 320 pounds, will never go back from that. They're like, I'm so overweight. There's no way. I mean, think about how hard it is for someone to lose 10 to 20 pounds, right? To even figure out how to do that, or even be disciplined enough to do that, right? Most people that get that big or have that much health issues or whatever do not know how to come back from that. They're in complete apathy about it, and they just accept themselves the way they are. So then the next thing they're going to try to do is love their body positivity. And I'm all about body positivity. Don't get me wrong. Because it's really important not to hate yourself, regardless of what your body is. That's not a good thing. But some people embrace it only because they don't feel like they can change it, instead of embracing it because they actually think they're healthy and they actually like where they are. They're trying to find a way to love themselves because they don't think they can do something about it, and that's not healthy in its own right.
It's like a surrender. They've just surrendered. They've just
right. And now they're trying to be able to come to terms with it on a daily basis and not hate themselves. So now they're like, I love my body at 300 pounds. And you're like, no, that's not healthy. Like you're not going to live very long, probably. You might be okay now because you're young, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't judge every single person. Everyone's different, right? They have different levels of health. Their body is very strong. They can hold a lot more weight. I know that I was a fairly strong person because I had been overweight so long. Someone else who was 320 pounds might be suffering way more than me because I was a strong person, but let's be honest, if I had stayed that way for another 20, 30 years, like who knows where I'd be, So anyway,
there's such a, again, just back to mental health for a sec. There's such a mental component to it where like to know you can change is one thing, but it's a habit, right? Like, it's another muscle so for example, like there's a book that I read almost every year, and I don't love that it's called Man's Search for Meaning, but it's called Man's Search for Meaning. It's an old book by Viktor Frankl, and he was a Holocaust survivor. And his whole thing, and what I learned from this years ago was, and similar to what you're saying, is he says there's a space between action and reaction. Do within that space between action and reaction, like we have the power in that moment to change our thinking, whatever it may be, but a lot of the time it's like literally you have seconds sometimes, right? So it is that it's a hard mental muscle to create a habit, to change it's not easy, like, and you've done it, which is awesome. But I guess people also, I think, need to know that, and we've said this already, there's no overnight success. It's, going to take a lot of hard work. And I think that it's all about having your support network, hopefully too. So did you have a support network surrounding you, or hopefully,
I have some good friends. I've got some good friends. I'm going to be honest. I think that the biggest thing for me was because I think everyone was always there to support me. I mean, I definitely had some people in my life definitely that were not that great, that would definitely pull me down a bit. My dad was, see, the thing about my dad was that he was my best friend, but he was also my biggest enemy at the same time. And what I mean by that is that he had a huge issue with my weight, and he was physically abusive between like 6 and 13. And then we moved past that. And then, when I left home at 14, I, got trained as a counselor and stuff like that. So I really elevated myself mentally and spiritually and stuff like that. So I actually mended my dad, and we did counseling together. And so as an adult, I had a great relationship with him, but I still had all that in the past. And it was weird because he was my strongest love and greatest ally, but also my biggest suppressor, like holding me down too. And so it was a really kind of messed up relationship in that way. And I don't know. I mean, I definitely, when he passed, it was like the biggest loss and upset of my life, but it was also the biggest relief that I've ever had. And it was a messed up feeling, but I'm just being honest. Like it was just like this weird thing that gave me a lot of, I don't know, like something released all of a sudden. And then the other thing was just like me making the decision myself. And I don't think I'd ever really truly done that. I had kind of half-assed it. I yo-yo dieted. I'd done a lot of things. I'd lost 60 pounds, gained 60 pounds, lost 20, gained 20, like many times. Right. And then I would say on my journey, the best advice that I would give anybody is to just get a coach, like a trainer and nutritionist, every step of the way. And it's worth the investment, the money. Just like you should get a business coach, or just like you should get a mentor. I think any successful person in any field has something like that. And if it's in an area that you are not taking care of and handling yourself well, you need that other person, because there's something about two people working together, at least two or more in a group or something, that really is a sign for success. So whenever anyone asks me, like, I did so many different things. I mean, there were times when I was hitting plateaus in my weight. I was working out twice a day. I was working out every day. I did different food routines. I did very, very strict, almost starvation style. I did normal. I did where I wasn't really monitoring my food at all and just working out. Like there wasn't one thing that I did, but the one thing that I did have in common and constant the entire time is I had a personal trainer. A trainer that I was working with consistently. And I've done a few actually over the last couple of years, right? Or 2 years or whatever, or 1.5, whatever, 1.5, 2. I had a trainer the whole time. Wow. I would fall off, or I wouldn't go for like a week or whatever, but pretty much every day. And then I would make adjustments based off of my progress. So I would be watching how I'm doing. If I started to kind of plateau or stop or whatever, then I would turn it up and push it through. And so anytime that I noticed myself going down, because you only ever go up or down. And I made a very strong decision that I only go up and I only improve. And by the way, that is also a great thing I tell people. I was like, if you truly make that decision that you only ever go up, you only ever improve every single week, I'm constantly doing that. Like I'm wealthier, I'm healthier, I'm better in some way. Like I'm telling you, like, even if you don't feel like that, if you're constantly putting that there and creating that, and putting it will literally change your life. I mean, there's a couple of things that I've said here that if you do that repetitively, it will change your life completely. Completely.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to ask you as well, Zoe, is that I know that you're in Clearwater, Florida, but I wasn't quite clear about, that sounds funny. Clearwater, Florida wasn't quite clear, but where were you born and where did you grow up? And was it in Florida, or did you arrive in Florida at a certain point later? And
I was about 9 years old when I moved to Clearwater. So I would say that I'm pretty much Florida raised. I was born in Iowa.
Okay.
I moved to Oregon when I was 3.
Right.
I moved to Washington State when I was like 7. Okay. And then I moved to Florida when I was like 9. And I've been here pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
And then also I'm curious to know a little bit more about your family ancestry. Like, are they first generation from America? Did they
Yeah.
come from somewhere else? Like, kind of a little bit more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So my grandma and my grandpa are North Korean refugees.
Wow.
So they escaped. My grandma was 8 when she escaped to South Korea. My grandfather was 16. And my grandfather worked really hard to come to the U.S. and he put himself through medical school and then he joined the U.S. Army. And that's how they ended up randomly in Iowa. They came in through Canada actually because it was easier to go in through Canada. They went from Canada to Iowa, and I think my mom was born in Canada, and then she was raised in Iowa.
Oh,
And yeah, so my mom and my aunt and my uncle were all they're all American, but they're fully Korean by heritage. And I think it was very, very interesting for them growing up in Iowa because I think they were basically the only like Asian Koreans around, honestly. So it was very, very interesting. My grandma I love my grandma. I have so much respect for her. They worked so hard. They built from nothing. They had fruit crates for their, furniture when they started. And, he never got paid the same that white American doctors did, but they were wealthier and they were smarter with their money and they were less wasteful. And their children were all professional instrument players by the time they were 5, and the kids went to Ivy League schools and, really, really, really strong, hardworking Asian family, and so she's inspiring to me. And then my biological father, whole story. I met him when I was 25, and he actually passed away a couple months before my dad passed away. So my biological dad was Danish descent. His father was from Denmark. And my mom and him met in college, and he was her lead or whatever. they fell in love on the stage. And my dad married my mom a month before I was born, so I didn't even know that he wasn't my biological father until I was 9 or 10 years old.
Whoa.
And then I didn't seek out my biological dad until I was in my mid-20s out of curiosity. And it was actually a good thing that I didn't know him or wasn't connected to him, because he really suffered from alcohol abuse, his entire life. By the time, though, he had passed away, he had finally kicked it. He had finally come clean. It was almost this beautiful sadness. He had reached out to me and he's like, I finally did it, because he struggled with alcohol his entire life. He's like, I've finally been clean for 6 months, he's 50 something. He's just been in and out of rehab and having alcohol problems since he was in college. He's 50 something years old now. He says, I finally did it. He called me on the phone and he said, it would make my life if you would allow me to be in your life and, see your daughter. Maybe we could go to the beach or something like that. And I was like, sure, I would love that. And then a couple days later, I get a call that he passed peacefully in his sleep.
Oh my
and
God.
It was sad, but it also was beautiful because I feel like the guy finally accomplished what he spent his entire life trying to accomplish. So as much as it's really sad, it was also beautiful at the same time.
Yes.
And then unfortunately, my dad that raised me within a couple of months also passed away. And then within those 2-year periods too, both my grandfathers died. I lost my 2 grandfathers and my 2 dads in a year, literally.
Whoa.
So it was pretty rough, So
do you know what I have to say? The word that keeps going across my mind about you and just thinking about your background, resilience.
I was going to just say resilience. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are one of the most resilient people I've met in a while. And and we talk about that on the podcast too, because we talk about our backgrounds as well as being grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. And so there's such a not only you have something genetically even, or that's inside of you, that's a fire, and I can see that. And the resilience is, it's amazing.
And the
Oh,
fact
thank you.
and the fact that you have that gift of resilience and tenacity, really, that
Mm.
purpose to share with people, to be a helper, to be a caregiver, to be an empowerer for other people. You know, me and Rachel have been through our own experiences where we do the same thing with our lives and our own skill sets. You know, and what I find
Right.
fascinating is that the world is never too big when you connect with the right people and you realize how much in common you have with someone you've never even spoken with, but you just have a
Yeah.
look, you have a tone of voice, you have an acknowledgement where you're thinking, okay, there's something really in common. And it's kind of comforting, let alone at a time of a pandemic and then in a time of a border of, you know, our same continent that we're in, but there's so much variance in Canada to the States and how people we're kind of meshed in between it. It's pretty
Right.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
absolutely. I can't believe what time it is. You've been talking to us in your car for this long.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh my God. Um, you just opened up everything, every freaking
Yeah.
corner of your life, and I just could not thank you more for that. I don't even know what else you could tell us about yourself. I mean, I guess back to the financial world.
Yeah. Sure.
Just back to there for a second, just because I feel like with the pandemic, especially
Mm,
in the past year or so, to speaking of finances and, you know, things that are already stressful,
Hmm.
you know, with, like you said, when you go and talking to a therapist, it's like, well, what are the most stressful things in your life? Money, you know, something, some sort of sexual relationship with a partner, whatever it may be. Those
Hmm.
are like real stressors.
Yeah.
What have you noticed in the past year with the pandemic with your business when it comes to, I mean, I'm assuming those things kind of were augmented. Are you noticing more people are needing more hand holding? Are they, is there more of a, almost like a counseling approach that you had from your experience? Are you utilizing that more? Like what's been going on with your business in the past year?
Yeah, well, we're very, very fortunate, in my business is very recession proof. So I've been training and onboarding a lot more new agents and getting them educated. I think that more people are aware that have, they have holes in their finances and they really need to get on top of them and get educated. So, and just have good plans and stuff. So, I think there's been a lot of adjustment. There's been a lot more education, help, and growth, like for people. And then I would say also as a response, I think more people are actually investing and saving more money than before because they see that they need to do that. There are obviously a lot of people that are suffering in debt, needing their credit fixed now. I think that a lot of people are still in shock. I think that probably in the next year or two, I'm going to have a lot more people reaching out to me that are like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out what to do with my credit cards and my collections and my credit report. And how do I handle this debt? Because I have been in so much overwhelm. I haven't even been paying it because I can't, I feel like that's going to start. It's already started, but it's going to be a lot heavier in the next year or so. Just because it's an unfortunate side effect of a lot of this happening. I think people are also realizing that getting into my line of work or working with me in my business is probably a good idea because being able to control your own business and your own income is really important. I think a lot of people had the, rug pulled under them or were blindsided by the fact that, they were let go from jobs, like, what are they going to do? I think security is like a really big thing. Like there's no such thing as job security. I think that, the stimulus and everything that's happening and the tax brackets changing and the taxes that are going to go up. I think this is all going to like really affect everyone and get them to see that they really have to like learn this stuff and get on top of it. I think the huge thing that happened with the lockdowns and stuff and probably about a year ago now, I think people started realizing I really do need emergency funds.
Yes.
See, a lot of my clients actually were in good shape and they messaged me and called me like, all my guys were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Cause like I made it through because you told me that I needed to have 6 months reserves,
Yeah.
and they're like totally fine. Like
Yeah.
all my clients were happy, like not happy, like of what's going on in the world, but they were like, wow, this is when savings really save you. I'm like, yep. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I am so fortunate to practice what I preach, and like whatever, like I can't even imagine. Like I know a lot of people have come to me with different issues and problems, and luckily I'm able to help them. But yeah, it's been a rough time for people.
It has been. And
Sorry, go ahead, Hero. Yeah.
well, I was going to say it's been a tough time for people, and money is something that, even like for me, that I come up through every day, and people in my life come up through every day. It's a universal language in some ways, a universal concept. But what I find interesting, though, we are winding our conversation down, at least for now.
Yes.
I foresee you coming back in the future if you would be
I'd love
interested. We'll figure that out. I think the idea of economy and status and worth to the people that we are, the materialistic construct of what we feel as a value, right? Like we're on a planet in the galaxy, in the cosmos, for example, yet we are little beacons of light, and those beacons of light, us, are responsible for managing our brains, and then what we need to have is a currency that's actually something tangible to afford or to manifest what we need to survive in the time that our body is physically here, right? And I just find this so interesting, that how much impact finances has in our life because of those factors. And yet, for what? Like, where are we going to go after that? We're just going to, right? So it's interesting when I think about what we talked about and the importance outside of that, like the actual stories, the walks of the life that bring us to that awareness of financial pressures of society or economy, and the construct of it, and how it's always on our mind. No matter how materialistic we might think it might be, it's always on our mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to add to that, I mean, money represents energy. And so being able to control that energy, we all have different games. Like not all of us are going to play the billionaire game or the millionaire game. And all of us have different things that are important to us, like as our key thing, and we have different levels that we're comfortable living at, and that's fine, each their own, but it is energy. And, money doesn't necessarily buy happiness, but you've never seen a happy broke person. If you can't feed yourself, put a roof over your head, you're not handling energy well. So it's like and the thing is, I work with people of all walks of life and all income levels, and they have different goals. It doesn't matter. Like I'll deal with the guy that's doing like putting away $50 a month, and I'll deal with the guy that's doing $50,000 a month.
Yeah.
We're still getting them, so they're controlling their energy well, and they're happy with their life and their goals, and that's what's important. It's not my place to tell people what their dreams are, but it is my place to help them get to where they want to be and what their dreams are,
Yeah. And I think that's also what has contributed to your success, if I can say so, because you're not, you're meeting people where they're at. And I think when you're a consultant or a therapist or a counselor or a mentor or a coach, your success is varied in meeting them where they're at, and then having the additional skill set of now giving tools that they might already have, but they haven't tapped into quite yet. And then, igniting that for them, and then sharing your lived experience with them, if it's tangible for them to actually apply it and then become more independent or more successful. And whether if it's in their energy and their spending, or if it's in how it translates that into the rest of their life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a pretty amazing.
Oh my God. I could talk to you all day, because I'm like, now I have so many financial questions, but
all right. I love this. This is great. Like I love when it's just like a conversation and you're like, holy moly, has it already been an hour?
We love that too, right? And it's refreshing.
I feel like we could talk all afternoon, but probably the listeners would be like, this is way too long. I can't take this.
Which is why
they got to take it in pieces.
We want to bring you back for a little bit more sipping of the juice. But one of the fun things we actually love to ask our guests when we say goodbye for now to them, or talk to you in a little bit, is if you were to be a kind of juice or a kind of fruit juice, what would you be and why?
Oh my gosh. Gosh, I don't know. It's such a funny question.
Now
I feel like I'd be like a mixed tropical drink or something.
Yeah.
I see that. I also
that would be my go-to, so I'll just go with that.
I love it. You're like a tropical storm, but in a good way. I just want to leave whomever is listening or watching this with how can they find you? We'll put that all in the show notes, but just anything kind of plug at the end. How can they find you? Do you work with international clients?
I wish. I'm getting a couple people licensed in Canada, and I should be expanding to Canada pretty soon.
Yay!
Amazing. Yay.
Yeah. But right now, US. Only US, unfortunately. And it really just has to do with like the products that our countries offer, and it's just different. Canada has similarities but differences for sure. So in what's offered,
Yes.
But yes, hopefully Canada soon. I'm excited. But I'm gonna put out a book, and I'm also gonna put out a course, and I think that could go international, to be honest, because it's like how it can really help people. I really feel like 95% of what I do is like dealing with relationships and human emotion and reactions and habits and stuff like that. The financial tools part is like a very small part of finance, to be honest, or the products or whatever, to be honest. But yeah, how people can reach me on Instagram at the Zoe Abbott. Actually, across all social media platforms, I'm the Zoe Abbott. So my YouTube, my Facebook, and it's ZoeAbbott. And then my website is www.thezoeabbott.com. I've got some cool blog posts. I mean, you can definitely see my mindset and where I'm coming from a lot if you read my blogs on my website. If you go see the videos that I posted on YouTube, obviously I have an artist account too, Zoe Abbott Artist, for like, the music stuff. I really like to just show everybody who I am, and who I am is a mom. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a successful person in business. I've got a lot that I could say about that. I could coach people on that probably. I sing, and I lost over 150 pounds and transformed my life. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that make me who I am and that allow me to connect with a lot of people. And it's been great.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being gracious with your time, for reaching out to me to actually connect, and being so quick to respond. And we definitely would love to have you come back for a part 2 if you would be ever so kind. So
absolutely. Super fun. I would love that.
Amazing. Okay, great.
All right.
We'll set it up. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.